Hello, good evening. My name is Josh Swartzlander. I'm the principal of Queens Grand High School. Welcome, Queens Grand High School families. I wanted to invite you to what will now be my YouTube channel. This will be for any important announcements, any important updates, anything that I may need to answer for the families. Thank you for reaching out and sending your questions. I have the questions here. I'd like to take the time to answer the questions, but also give you an introduction to how the school year will play out. I know there's going to be a lot of things that are going to have to basically change, and we'll have to transition on the go. It's going to be a very unique school year. I apologize for any of the confusion, but at the same time, we're still trying to sort out a lot of this as well. So I appreciate your patience, and we look forward to a good school year. All right. In addition to this video, I'm also going to be sending a calendar attachment. The calendar attachment will have A, B day schedules highlighted with a visual representation. It should be easier to understand some of the things that I'm bringing up. So I want to make sure that I record this video and then post it, but also you have the calendar in front of you, so you're able to use the calendar with the questions that are being answered. So that way you'll understand each aspect of the reopening. The reopening cannot just happen immediately on August 17th. So we are going to have a remote learning period and a transition period, and then the hybrid learning period. So I'll go through each one of those things. Starting with the very first thing for families is on Thursday, 8/13, our tech director will be sending out a communication. This communication will allow your students to claim their Queens Grant email. Once they claim that email, their teachers and school administrators can send you the information that's needed for this year. So again, on Thursday, you will get an email from the tech director that will allow Queens Grant students to claim a Queens Grant High School email. Once they have that email, they can sign into Schoology, they can sign up for their classes, and they can do all those things. And again, the remote learning will start on 8/17. So again, the first 2 weeks, there will be remote learning. Remote learning, again, means that all students need to sign into their classes with their teachers from Queens Grand High School or North Carolina Virtual School and complete the tasks necessary. Now, they will have 2 weeks to complete their first 5 tasks per class. So if a student has English 1 first period, there will be 5 things due in the first 2 weeks for that class. Now, orientation will be happening from 8/17 to 8/28. So August 17th to August 28th. During those times, we have sent out a list by alphabet. So the last name allows the parents and the student to come onto campus and to go meet their teachers. Those times are either the morning or the afternoon. Okay? So those spots for orientation are done alphabetically, and they will be done over 2 weeks. It allows students to come onto campus. They do not have to come onto campus. You do not have to come onto campus to get your schedule or to get your Schoology codes or to meet your teachers. You will be able, with your Queens Grant email, to get all of these communications. So all of our teachers will be sending out their Schoology codes. They will be sending out their syllabi. They will be sending out all the necessary information for this year to that Queens Grant email. So the most important thing is the students and the parents have to claim their accounts. So parents, help your student claim their account, and this will also give you the opportunity to observe. Okay? Now, again, orientation is optional. So remember, alphabetically, you can come onto campus, see the teachers, get your schedules, those type of things. Sign into Power School. A lot of the different things that are traditionally done on open house will be done in this small group fashion for orientation. So again, this is just an opportunity. It is optional. You do not have to come onto campus just for that reason. Okay? Now, makeup times for the orientation, if you cannot make, were scheduled at the end of the school day and also at the end of the second week, 8/27 and 8/28. Okay? So those are the orientation days. So again, the first week of school starts on 8/17. So the weeks of 8/17 and 8/24 are both remote learning weeks. You will have 5 assignments per class due during that period. Okay, and again, that information will be sent to the Queens Grant email that they set up. All right. Now, what is in-person instruction going to look like? So, when you come onto campus, all students will be screened, and we will screen them at their vehicle or at the top of the ramp before they can go into a mod. We will screen them for their temperature and ask them the 3 questions that the CDC, NCDHS basically ask us to ask you or ask the student. And again, students will be required to wear a mask. They will be required to wear a mask. Dress code. We do not have school on Wednesdays, so that Jeans Day is now going to be Tuesday and Friday. So every student has the opportunity to wear jeans days, or to wear jeans on jeans days. Again, dollars will only be collected for jeans. You will be allowed to wear Queens Grant spirit wear all year, any day. Okay? So if you wear a Queens Grant shirt, Queens Grant hoodie, one of those things, you have to make sure that you're wearing the appropriate pants on those days. Okay? Again, masks are required. Teachers will wear masks or shields throughout the day. Every student will be getting 5 masks from the government. There are 5 masks assigned to every single student, so if they don't have their own, they'll be able to get their masks, and they can either get them on the very first day for their orientation, or they can get it on the very first day they actually come to in-person classes. Okay? In-person classes will start on 8/31. And again, this is what we are going to call the hybrid transition. So for the 2 weeks, 8/31 and Labor Day week, which is only a 4-day week, students will come onto our campus 1 day a week. Okay, 1 day a week for A, which is Monday, Tuesday, or B, which is Thursday, Friday of that time. And when they do that, they will go to their full schedule. There are 6 60-minute blocks. They will have the 30 minutes for lunch. That time, 1 day a week, is called the hybrid transition period. And again, that is 2 weeks. So the full hybrid schedule begins September 14th. And on September 14th, A students will show up on Monday and Tuesday. B students will show up on Thursday, Friday. Now, for the hybrid transition period, students will, again, be emailed which day they will attend for those 2 weeks, so they can transition and get all the instructions, all the directions from their teachers. Okay? And again, September 14th is when the full hybrid schedule A day, Monday, Tuesday, B day, Thursday, Friday, goes into effect. All right? Please see the calendar that is also attached. Okay? That calendar will clear up a lot of this. Now, throughout the year, there is also teacher work days that, or some holidays that are potentially remote learning days. So those are also on the calendar. So please observe that. Now, one thing about A day, B day, and if I consider online C day, you can always opt at any point during this school year into the online version. So at any point, if A day doesn't work for you, work for your family, you can transition to online. Now, changing from A to B has to be done, okay, with class sizes in mind. So we cannot have more than 12 people in a classroom, and some classrooms are less than 10. We're trying to keep our classes around 8 or 9, so then we still have a little bit more room, a little more flexibility, so that everybody's safe in those rooms. We do not want to get anywhere near those numbers. So it is possible that we may be able to switch someone from an A to a B based on a carpool situation. But again, use that situation only for a carpool situation or something along those lines. Don't just say it's easier on this day versus that day, because the A and the B day schedules were set up to be balanced so that our families, and it may be alphabetical, it may be by grade level, it's a little bit of a combination between the two, but we're trying to make sure that class sizes are where they're supposed to be for the safety and the regulations that we have to follow. Okay? So again, class changes will be basically limited based on those circumstances. But because of carpool situations, we definitely will allow some of the transitions, some of the changes, excuse me. So again, you can transition to online at any point. So if someone feels uncomfortable, they do not have to go. And if they're online and they become more comfortable for an A or a B day, you let the school administration know, or myself, either at the quarter or at the semester marks. So you'll be able, after first quarter and second quarter, or first semester, to switch one of those programs. And again, it's all going to be based on, one, the conditions with COVID, and also based on the allotments in the classrooms. And again, so those circumstances are something we'll prepare for at the quarter and the semester. I have a few more things, and then I'm going to start answering questions from the Q&A. Now, first, what will the students be doing in the classrooms? Okay, students are going to be either remotely able to see their teacher teaching the class, or they will be given assignments that need completed. Every teacher will have at least one Zoom direct instruction meeting per week. That means that student needs to be there at the certain time, or watch the specific Zoom or participate at that time in order to complete certain things. Now, some of the learning is going to be project needs to be completed by Friday. So it is a mix. It is going to have synchronous and asynchronous learning. So I know that it's something that a lot of families want a clear one versus the other, but with so many different teaching styles, what I'm trying to do is allow the teachers to feel comfortable to be able to engage with the learner, to be able to instruct them from, again, their classroom and or remotely if we move to remote, but also understand they will get tasks of both varieties. They will have days where they have to check in deliberately, and then they'll have days where a project's due and they need to complete it by, say, midnight. And again, I hope they're not staying up till midnight. But That is the example. All right. So again, there's synchronous and asynchronous learning going on. You will have staff here on campus to start the school year. And for example, if a student is struggling with a particular concept, let's say like math, and they're just struggling. They've watched the videos, they've seen the Zooms, they've done those things, they've followed the whiteboard lessons, but they just can't get it. They can check in with the teacher through Google Meets, which is another reason why we set up the Google communications, so that the student and the teacher can directly align themselves for any type of office hour appointment or small groups for collaboration. But this allows us a lot of flexibility to allow the students to get the work done, and also for the teachers to allow them still to collaborate, share, and a lot of those regular instructional moments are still happening. I know it's not the same, but again, we're going to have to make these adjustments. But the students have to claim the email. The moment they claim their email, they're able to get those things done. They'll be able to see their schedule, to understand which teacher they have and which teacher's going to have which assignments due where. That's the important thing about the syllabus. So I hope that answers some of it. I know that I'll probably have specific questions in the Q&A to go over, but I want to make sure that I went over the direct and most direct parts of this first. But again, with the calendar and with this little introduction, I believe that a lot of the questions will be answered, but I'm going to still go over each one and highlight each one as it comes up and make sure that I complete it. Now, after this video is done, I will reopen the Q&A document, and we will submit it again. And if there's more questions, we'll make sure that there's a response. But as of right now, I think this video and the video's length, around 30 minutes, will probably answer almost every question. So at that point, you'll have a pretty good gist on how the school year is going to roll out and when students need to be here, when they're not here. Those calendars, or the calendar on there, answers a lot of the questions. But again, I want to make sure that families understand. 8/17, mandated by the state, our first day is going to be remote. And again, that's for 2 weeks. Then we do the 2-week transition. September 14th, every hybrid in-person class will begin. A, Monday, Tuesday, B, Thursday, Friday. Now, on to questions. Now, the very first question deals with the screening. Every day, students will get checked. They will be read. Any visitor will be read. And basically, we have the thermometers for every single staff member and every administrator. And we will check temperatures and then put that into a Google form. The Google form will then collect all that data so that we are doing what we're supposed to do in order to open. And again, if anyone exudes any of the symptoms or they're reported, they are immediately asked to leave. And this is why we want to meet the parents at the cars so that it's not as much of an inconvenience that if we checked them an hour later. So again, at this circumstance, yes, your child has any of the symptoms, has a fever, they must go home immediately, okay? If the symptoms come on in the middle of the day, we will have a place for them. They will basically be away from the general population. We will also make sure that we do the tracing necessary and also communicate out the seriousness of it. And if it is positive or, again, something, I guess, kind of scary about it, we will transition to remote learning. And I'm just saying that based on whether someone was here or not. So if we have to quarantine, we will quarantine utilizing remote learning. So again, if someone had exposure to other students. Now, if a student has tested positive, but we're not in interaction with anyone else, we will still have our hybrid instruction continuing. So unless they've had exposure to other people on campus, okay, that are on campus. So I hope that answers that question. I know that's a little trickier. Again, school starts August 17th, technically online. Again, you can come for your orientation period, which is basically a 2.5-hour session, allows you to meet with each teacher for 15 minutes. And again, those times have been emailed out. Now, back to one of the confusing parts, and I understand this and I apologize, tasks. Tasks are something I stated for lessons. They are things that teachers can give grades for example, or give credit for. So a task may be a reading passage and a quiz. That's a task, and it may take 30 to 40 minutes to do. It may take another student an hour to do. So I don't want them to go by instructional minutes. I want them to go by instructional tasks. And the tasks are going to basically line up with what would normally be a block or two here at school. So sometimes there's bigger projects, and those projects or those tasks may be weighted heavier. But for example, in this case, the first 2 weeks, each class will have 5 tasks. Those tasks may be completion tasks. For example, for a math class or a reading class, or English class, they would have to take a pre-test. That will count as a task. And when they do that pre-test, it gives the teacher the valuable information to see where they are based on last year and maybe the loss of instruction from last year, and it will allow the teacher to kind of start remedying some of those issues in some of those important classes. Again, we still have to abide by certain testing by the state, for example, EOCs. Now, we do not have to do NCFEs, so this year we will only have the EOCs in Math 1, Math 3, English 2, and Biology. So those are very, very important things where the data is important. Personally, I care more about the development and the growth. But again, those courses and the teachers that teach those courses sometimes really want to see and assess the data. So that's one of those things where a pretest may be one of those tasks. Okay. And again, we also have encouraged our teachers to kind of take that into account, the loss of direct instruction from the spring, and bring it into their lessons for the start of this school year, just to help transition the students during this time. Okay. All right. Again, about the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Again, this was set up based on CDC guidelines. Again, Wednesday is for deep cleaning. Is going to basically create that process in which our campus can be clean before groups come in and out. Same thing with our staff. Again, they can follow the same procedures, same schedule. And again, to start the year, it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and again, we plan to have this for the whole year. Again, the governor makes the call. That's a whole completely different thing. Now, if a student at the lower school or a separate school is either on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and the kid isn't, that's another one of those reasons we may be able to change their schedule. So right now, we're leaving a little bit of wiggle room for those schedule changes. But we would like to keep them as minimal as possible because we care more about the distancing. And again, that's just per CDC guidelines. Okay. Now, important question. When it comes to, again, orientation. Orientation is optional. You do not have to come on campus. If you feel uncomfortable, don't come. Your teachers, your child's teachers will send the necessary information. That necessary information will be Schoology codes. That usually leads to the syllabi. A digital textbook is usually used. Okay? So all those items are going to be sent out during that time. Okay? Devices. devices we will be addressing individually. So if a student needs a specific device, again, we have had laptops issued out in the past. Again, the IT director will send that email out for the emails. Students claim the emails. At that same person, Mr. Bullock, will be able to set up the checkout system for our devices. And again, as the year goes on, based on basically funds with the school, there may be new devices we may be able to trade out, but at this current time, we're going to use the existing devices to trade out. So we'll start that right after they claim their emails, so you can go through the same source. Okay. Jeans days. Again, Tuesdays and Fridays, you only get charged the $1 for jeans. You don't get charged $1 if you're showing up in khaki pants and, say, a Queens Grant hoodie. You are only going to get charged for wearing the jeans. And again, Jeans Day money goes to the clubs. That's the only group it goes to. So, track, basketball, baseball, those clubs, drama club, any of the clubs that are out there, they get that money. That money does not go to any other outlet. All Jeans Day stays within the clubs. Okay. Let's see. Again, a lot of these questions say, how will I know? Well, you'll know when you see the email on Thursday to claim your account. Once you claim your account, our teachers will send you the information by 8/17. So again, it has to go through Queens Grant email. So our server will be set up so that all students at Queens Grant, their email will then transfer over to their teachers so their teacher can send them direct communications. The best part of this is it cuts out having to find or identify any student, because it is going to be their first initial and last name at queensgranthigh.org. That's how you'll get your schedule. That's how you'll get your information. And also PowerSchool. When PowerSchool is up, same thing. We'll send out an email to tell you schedules on PowerSchool. You can look at it now. Okay. Again, we'll have paper copies for the people that show up at orientation. Okay, but orientation's optional. Couple really important questions. I wish we could go into more depth, but I'll just leave it at all students that have IEPs, 504s, EL accommodations will be adhered to. Now, we will have to be flexible in that delivery because we have students that are here and students that are remote. So please understand that any EC question should go to Traval Godfrey, just so she has the up-to-date accommodations and she can support those students so that we don't get behind. Okay, I want to make sure that nobody falls through the cracks. Again, another question about masks. Yes, masks are required. They are required on campus. So when you come onto campus, you need to have a mask. For the first day, whatever mask you have is fine, but remember, when you come onto our campus, if you're a visitor or you don't have one, we have disposable masks at the front desk. Also, if you lose students, you lose your masks, again, you have 5 of them. Make sure you wash them, you keep them maintained. Pick 1 per day. Again, if you're here for 2 days, Monday, Tuesday, again, use 1 and 1. And make sure they're cleaned. Let's see. Again, paperwork, all those things will be sent out through your email. The communications will tell you, even if you're not here for orientation, you may still get all that information so you're not behind. But again, we are going to put in 1 week to kind of make sure that students can transition into the transition correctly. And then when they're actually here, we're going to have to go over a lot of procedures, entering the building, exiting the building, bells, those type of things are all going to have to be adjusted for the in-person days. And that's why we're doing the 2 weeks remote with orientation, 2-week transition into hybrid, and then September 14th, hybrid. Okay. Again, remote learning is both synchronous and asynchronous. So the expectation from me is students will interact with their teachers daily. They will interact by email, they will interact by Zoom, they will interact by Google Meets, they will interact on Schoology. All those things are out there and they are required. Now, again, some teachers may have a project, they may have certain assignments that don't require a check-in time, and other teachers do. So, understand both of those requirements are out there, so it is important to always be in communication with the instructors. And again, this is another reason why we have the communication. The communication system was set up because we know it's that important. Okay? This is where we usually miss something, is because somebody didn't communicate effectively. So hopefully all that's out there. Orientation is just for the student and the parents. Please do not bring grandparents, do not bring other children, those type of things. We are limiting the amount of people there, and again, everybody needs scans, so it will slow down the process. Okay? And again, online textbooks will be linked with the Schoology account. So some classes will have actual books that you can pick up or get from the teacher. Other ones have a digital copy, and you can go and save that right on your browser, and you'll be able to do that. So again, even if you don't have your orientation day until the second week, you still can have that communication in the first week by checking your emails and working with your teachers. Okay? I apologize for the pause. I think sports. Sports are governed by the North Carolina Athletic Association. So right now, you kind of have to wait for the updates based on the state. Because we're in the conference, we have to follow the guidance. So again, as of right now, that is another question mark area. And I would reach out to Mr. Tezik and make sure your information's up to date for our Stallion Stampede that we send out every Friday, because we will have important announcements in there, but I'll make sure that we'll get an important announcement out about fall sports once that's made. If it happens, it happens. If it's delayed, it's delayed. If it doesn't happen, or if it moves to spring, we'll send all that out. Okay. Again, dress code. Again, Jeans days are Tuesdays and Fridays. We expect students to be in dress code when they come onto campus, if they're on campus. If they are remote, if they are online, students need to be in dress code, or they have to have an avatar or something along those lines so that the teachers know who they're responding with. And they also have to respond to students who are appropriately dressed or following the guidelines. Now, we can't go to someone's house and enforce whether someone's wearing khaki pants or jeans or whatever on one of those days. But this is why it's so important that families create avatars or some kind of cartoon image, because then the teacher can still interact and the other students in class can still interact with that person. Okay, so every teacher will kind of go through that process on their own, but I wanted to give you that heads up in advance that that is an expectation, that if people are going to be in a Zoom meeting, to follow the right procedures. Okay, let's see. If you plan to do full remote and you did not reach out to us by email, you can just reach out to me and I will add it. And also, if you want to change plans, for example, you want to change from A day or B day to online, you can do that at any point with an email to me. Now, if you said you wanted to be online and now you want to be A or B, that information has to be sent out immediately. But again, we can't create a schedule based on A and B right now. We have to make the A and make the B, and then we can adjust based on spots available. So if you know you're remote, stay on remote, and again, go to your orientation or check your emails and communicate with your teachers. You do not have to, again, change your plans. You can stay online the full school year if necessary. Okay? We will provide that option all year. Now, quarter and semester, we can have people change from online to in-person. We need your answer definitely by the second week. So that means your orientation period basically will allow us to figure all this out. Okay? Changing of classes, changing of schedules, any of those things, we plan to send out communications. Those communications will go to all of our families. And again, it'll say NCVPS form, it will say schedule change form, any of those things. But again, it is going to be digital. So again, you need to send it to the appropriate person when that time comes digitally. All right? Again, I can't necessarily answer EC 504 EL questions directly. So understand Student Services and Traval Godfrey has more of the individualized answers. So please reach out to her on those issues. Electronic submission. Yes, all of our assignments that are not A day, B day, in-person classes are digital. This year we're also transitioning a lot to paperless. So again, a lot of our staff will be transitioning to everything being electronically submitted. Now, there are some circumstances where paper is necessary, supplies are necessary, but again, all those go with the syllabus and all those go with individualized teachers. Please reach out to those teachers. Okay. So again, there is no direct time that I'm mandating for each teacher to have for their direct instruction, but they are required to have it every week, and they're also supposed to have a total number of tasks that can be synchronous and asynchronous. So they will have to check in every day. They will have to communicate every day. But again, some of those assignments may be due in the evening. Some of those assignments may be due right on the spot. So I don't have a generic one-size-fits-all for that. Okay. Again, schedules will be out. Power School will be set up. All those things will be communicated to you. Some of the things that can't really be answered at this exact moment. So I may need another one of these Q&A videos. How band, how theater and dance may work, some of those performances, those type of things are going to have to be modified. PE, as well as team sports, sports med, those classes are going to have to be modified as well. So understand there's going to be some transitions both to the actual instruction and also the material, because some of that stuff will have to be modified. Some classes will be utilizing applications, and some teachers will be utilizing new applications that, again, I don't even know. So please be aware that there is going to be a lot of things that are going to change, and we're going to adapt to, and there's also going to be some evolution of the instruction going on. So hopefully all that makes sense. I tried to keep this under, I said under an hour, and then I was shooting for a half hour, somewhere around 40 minutes, but I'm down to the last 10 questions. So again, you will be able to change if the conditions get better. So again, A-Day, B-Day, those type of things. So those type of things can be changed. Any point you can go to remote. Again, we don't have uniforms. We have a dress code. So again, collared shirt, or for this year and maybe all years going forward, Queens Grand High School spirit wear. Let's see. Again, if you need supplies, again, accommodations, those type of things, please reach out to the necessary staff members. Again, we're kind of doing this month by month, so we're pretty mapped out for the first quarter. Beyond that, we can't really predict what it's going to be like, so it's hard for us to say whether the schedule will evolve or change. Oh, another good question. Lunch, we still will provide lunch. Some of the items will change because they all have to be packaged items. Vendors follow all the procedures because they have to for their businesses. So all the precautions are done and taken. We will have to socially distance. We will have to modify our lunches. We have added a third lunch. So we have an A, a B, and a C lunch. So one at 11, one at 11:30, one at 12. And the reason why is to lessen the numbers all until there's some kind of change, positive change. And again, outside our courtyard areas, teachers will be able to take their classes out, but to start the school year, they will be in their fourth period during that time for lunch. Let's see. The majority of students, I would say, are either they're online. The majority of families are online, but there is a good breakdown that I would probably say is pretty close to even between A, B, and C. Okay, just to look at that. So, board decisions, I will tell you that many things like the shutdown of school, and those are board decisions, so the board actually makes up the policies on what happens with a COVID case, that type of thing. But I know the initial result we will move to remote until we get answers. So I appreciate your flexibility and understanding in that for those students that are on the A-B, that if there is some reason we have to move to remote, and not to scare anybody or anything like that, but that may be something that is just our first precaution. There's some kind of rumor that we can't back up, we can't verify, and we may say, hey, we're going to have to move to remote on this day or that day. So I just wanted to make sure that was out there. One of the most complicated parts, and I understand this completely, is the social side. And I agree 100% that the social side is very, very important for the instruction and the development of our students. Unfortunately, the CDC guidelines don't completely take that into account, because the A-Day, B-Day, depending how we break it down and who's carpooling with who and those type of things, it may pull some of those things out of our line of sight. But they are in our minds. We do want to try and come up with solutions for them. But I can't guarantee there will be a solution for that. What I can say is we'll try. There may be a possibility where students scheduled for A and students scheduled for B, there may be room in B, so we may be able to move that student over. But again, we're going to keep it at the carpool situation first, or the transportation system first, because that seems to be the most significant. And again, we may be able to alter a lunch or something like that to provide that opportunity to make sure that those students have some social interaction, even with the masks, even with social distancing rules, but we're going to try. Okay. Again, any family sends a student, when they're sick, you're going to have to come pick them up immediately. It's just one of those circumstances where this year we have to take all the right precautions. And again, any temperature, okay, that we flag, we're notifying parents immediately, have to pick up that child. But the majority of all these decisions will be made right in the morning with the thermometer and those 3 questions. Now, students that, again, read high, we may go check them multiple times throughout the day just to make sure that families didn't send a student that was sick. We are going to be very, very, very diligent in this search if there was a possible breach of any kind. So we want to take the right precautions there. So again, I will say that we have administrators ready to prepare all of these adjustments throughout the day, throughout the year. So again, students don't wear masks. Again, they will be sent home. They have to follow the precautions. They have to follow the guidance. The guidance is the only reason that we can even have an opening of any kind. Again, like many of you, I want to have a real school year. But as of right now, we are going to have to basically deal with what we have. And we want to open. So in order to open, we need to follow all these rules. And if we're not going to follow these rules and families aren't going to follow them, we're going to remote learning. So I want you all to understand that the point is people need to follow the rules and follow the precautions. Okay? So, in closing, I hope I was able to answer everything. If I wasn't, I will be able to say that I can do this again. You can save this YouTube channel, and I will basically start utilizing this throughout the year. So if there's more questions and a need for more of these, I'll make sure to start posting them. So I will reopen the Q&A this evening after families get the time to view this. Okay. Thank you.